the moment Karen stormed onto our porch, red-faced and trembling like a boiling teapot. I knew something ridiculous was about to happen, but even I couldn't have predicted what she shrieked next. "Your rooster is a menace to this community!" That rooster, Rusty, had lived on our farm long before the HOA even existed. But Karen, self-appointed protector of neighborhood, peace, had apparently decided that Rusty's sunrise crowing was now some sort of federal crime. She waved a stack of papers like she was serving a warrant. "I'm filing a formal complaint. The entire neighborhood suffers because of your poultry noise." I tried not to laugh. Rusty literally crowed for maybe 5 seconds each morning. Meanwhile, Karen's wind chimes sounded like a metal orchestra in a hurricane every time the breeze moved. But facts never stopped Karen. Grandpa stepped out from behind me, wiping his hands with a rag, eyes calm but amused. Nothing rattled Grandpa, not storms, not taxes, and definitely not Karen. "Morning, Miss Karen," he said, voice slow and warm. "What's all the fuss now?" She spun toward him dramatically. "Your animal is disrupting the entire HOA. I demand immediate removal, or there will be fines. Serious fines." Grandpa stared at her for a good 3 seconds, then said something that made my stomach drop. "Well, maybe the HOA should meet Rusty in person." Karen blinked. "What?" But Grandpa had already turned and walked off toward the barn, humming like a man who had just come up with his favorite kind of trouble. I knew that look. It was the same one he had when he accidentally misplaced the HOA's plastic speed limit signs in the old tractor graveyard. The next morning, the HOA sent an official notice demanding we attend their monthly meeting to address the rooster issue. That was all Grandpa needed. He grinned from ear to ear and said, "If Karen wants to talk about Rusty, she's going to talk about all of Rusty's friends too." I felt a chill run through my spine. "Grandpa, what exactly are you planning?" He winked. "Oh, nothing much. Just a proper introduction." That's when I realized disaster, no, legend, was inevitable. Because when Grandpa gets an idea and Karen gets angry and animals are involved, the universe itself seems to prepare popcorn. The day of the meeting, Grandpa was up before sunrise. I saw him loading crates into the truck. Crates that clucked, rustled, and occasionally screeched. And that's when I knew. Grandpa wasn't bringing a rooster to the HOA meeting. He was bringing the entire Coop. The HOA meeting was supposed to start at 10 a.m. But by 9:30, Karen was already pacing outside, the clubhouse like a mall security guard on caffeine. She clutched a clipboard so tightly I thought it might snap in half. Every time a neighbor walked past, she whispered something dramatic, pointing repeatedly toward our farm like we were harboring a fugitive. Then she saw Grandpa's truck rolling down the road. Her jaw dropped. Grandpa didn't drive slow or quietly. No, he came in like a parade float from the Wild West, truck rattling, crates stacked in the back, feathers drifting into the wind like confetti. Rusty himself stood proudly on top of the largest crate, chest puffed, ready for battle. Karen froze. What is that?" Grandpa tipped his hat. "You asked to speak about the rooster problem, didn't you?" Karen opened her mouth, but before a word came out, one of the hens let out a loud squawk. Another followed, then a third, and suddenly the whole truck erupted in clucks and chirps so chaotic it sounded like a feathery orchestra warming up. Neighbors turned. People stepped out of their cars. Cameras came out. Children cheered. Karen went pale. "This is not allowed," she squealed, pointing shakily at Rusty. "This is a violation of 14 HOA codes." 14! Grandpa stepped out, calm as a monk. "No violations here, Miss Karen. Just bringing the evidence you asked for." "It's a meeting, not a farm," she shrieked. Grandpa shrugged. "Well, Rusty only crows when he's nervous. Thought it'd be best if he's here so y'all can understand his noise levels accurately." Karen clenched her teeth so hard I could hear it. By now, a half-circle of amused homeowners had formed. Mr. Thompson whispered, "I hope he brought popcorn." Mrs. Leary replied, "Forget popcorn. This is better than cable." Karen tried to regain control. She raised her clipboard like a traffic wand. "Grandpa, you cannot bring livestock into an HOA facility." Grandpa wiped imaginary dust off his boots. "You're right, Miss Karen. That's why we're not going inside." Karen blinked. Then what exactly is your plan?" Grandpa grinned. The kind of grin that meant chaos was about to punch the day in the face. He walked to the tailgate, grabbed the latch, and shouted to the crowd, "Everyone, meet the neighbors Karen is so upset about." He pulled the latch. The crates burst open. Chickens, dozens of them, exploded into the yard like feathery fireworks. And Rusty, king of the barnyard, spread his wings and let out a glorious battle cry crow that echoed across the entire HOA property. Karen screamed. The crowd erupted, and Grandpa just smiled like sunrise. Chaos doesn't just happen when you release a full chicken coop at an HOA meeting. It erupts, spreads, multiplies, and then settles into a glorious kind of pandemonium that only a farm family can appreciate. And the moment Grandpa opened those crates, that exact storm took over the HOA lawn. Chickens ran everywhere, under cars, over picnic tables, through Karen's carefully planted flower beds. Feathers floated through the air like a bizarre snowstorm. Rusty marched proudly at the front of it all, letting out victory crows that echoed across the clubhouse walls like a battle anthem. Karen's scream reached a pitch that I'm pretty sure only bats could fully hear. She hopped onto a bench, skirt bunching up, clutching her clipboard like it could shield her from poultry. "Get them away from me! Get them away! This is a serious violation!" But the chickens, being chickens, completely ignored her panic. Instead, two of them decided her bench was an excellent perch. One hopped up right next to her elbow. The other settled comfortably on her clipboard. Karen froze, eyes wide, face pale. "Someone, help me!" Grandpa didn't even blink. "Now, Miss Karen, this is what we call natural behavior. You wanted to observe Rusty's noise problem. Can't do that without observing the whole flock." The crowd was loving every second. Mr. Thompson pulled out a lawn chair like he'd been waiting for this kind of entertainment his whole life. Kids chased the chickens around giggling. Even the usually grumpy HOA treasurer, Mr. Baxter, cracked a smile as a hen strutted across his car hood like a runway model. Meanwhile, Karen was losing what little control she thought she had. She tried blowing her whistle, a bright red plastic one she used whenever she wanted to feel powerful. But instead of intimidating the birds, the shrill sound startled them. The entire flock paused, then took it as a cue to run in every direction at once. One hen darted through Karen's legs. Another fluttered over her shoulder. Rusty hopped onto the bench beside her, stared her dead in the eyes, and let out a dramatic, echoing crow that made Karen flail backward like she'd been hit with a sound cannon. She toppled right off the bench. Gasps, laughter, and one very smug rooster. Grandpa walked over, hands behind his back, calm as a summer day. "Karen," he said softly, "seems like the chickens ain't the only ones making noise today." Karen, red-faced and furious, pointed at him with a trembling finger. This isn't over! I will file a formal violation!" Grandpa smiled. "I'm counting on it." By the time the last chicken finally stopped running laps around the flagpole, the HOA lawn looked like a battlefield of feathers. Overturned chairs and wounded pride, mostly Karen's. Rusty strutted atop the picnic table like a king, surveying his conquered kingdom, while Grandpa leaned against his truck, arms crossed, enjoying the masterpiece he had orchestrated. Karen, frazzled hair flying in every direction, marched toward us with the intensity of a volcanic eruption ready to blow. She held a stack of papers, new ones, freshly printed, somehow already crumpled from how tightly she gripped them. "I have collected 7 violations from this morning alone," she announced, voice shaking with fury. Grandpa raised an eyebrow. 7? That's impressive. I was hoping you'd get at least 10. She blinked. "Are you mocking the authority of the HOA? Grandpa shrugged. "Authority? No. Your creativity? Absolutely." Neighbors snickered behind her. Even Mr. Baxter tried to hide a grin behind his clipboard. Karen snapped back into full dictator mode. "This meeting is officially adjourned due to poultry-related hazards." Grandpa nodded thoughtfully. "Well, if the HOA can't handle a few chickens, maybe they should reconsider complaining about one little rooster." Karen shoved the papers at him. "You will remove that animal immediately, or I will—" Grandpa gently pushed the papers back toward her. "Miss Karen, how about we settle this like reasonable folks?" She folded her arms. "Reasonable? After this circus?" Grandpa pointed around the yard. "Everyone here seems fine. In fact, they seem happier than they've been at any of your meetings." She glared daggers at the neighbors, who quickly pretended to admire the sky. Then Grandpa went for the finishing move. "Tell you what, if Rusty's crow bothers you, we can discuss a schedule. But only if the HOA agrees to remove those noisy metal wind chimes you have outside your house." Karen froze. The crowd went silent. Everyone knew about those wind chimes. They clanged louder than church bells on windy nights. Many neighbors had complained privately, but no one dared tell Karen to her face. She gulped. My chimes are decorative. "And Rusty is family," Grandpa replied. "Checkmate." Karen's shoulders slumped slightly, her fury cracking under the weight of her own hypocrisy. She cleared her throat, straightened her blouse, and muttered, "Fine, I will consider a compromise." Grandpa tipped his hat. That's all we ever wanted. By noon, the chickens were collected. The neighbors were still laughing. And even Rusty looked proud of how the day had gone. As we drove home, feathers still stuck to the truck, Grandpa winked at me. "Next time Karen wants a meeting," he said, "maybe we'll bring the goats." And honestly, I kind of hoped he would. If you loved Grandpa's epic revenge on Karen, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, And drop a comment telling us what you would do if this happened in your neighborhood.